We'll bring the Parks Committee to order on the 17th of June, 2021 at 7:04. How about roll call?
Chairman O'Regan,
Here.
Committee Member Wild,
Here.
Committee Member Marisi indicated that he would be late, but to start without him. And Committee Member Brazil is not with us at the moment.
Okay. So do we have approval of the agenda?
I'll recommend that we approve the agenda for Thursday, June 17th, 2021.
Mr. Hall, you don't have a quorum. You have to wait till Tony gets here.
Right.
We can't include that, stranger? Okay.
But we can start the discussion.
All right. What are we discussing?
So we have two items of new business. We have discussion on hanging baskets as well as discussion on holiday decorations. These are both topics that members of city council have expressed an interest in discussing, and particularly having this brought to the Parks and Recreation Committee. In the budget that was approved earlier this week, there was an appropriation of $10,000 in the Parks Department that could be allocated for one or both of these items. That's a lot. Not enough.
We'll show you the numbers in George.
Ooh,
Not a lot.
Well, I'll wait till you tell me a thing before I speak.
I don't know who was doing the hanging basket part, but
That was John.
I can kind of run with that a little bit too. In terms of
Okay.
with that, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to go exactly like John. So there was some folks last year during the holiday season that started to decorate in Rolling Rock Park on their own. They were approached by our interim city administrator, who pretty much said, hey, you know, we love this, but we really can't open, you know, the city up to having people just coming in here and doing this on their own. We need to figure something out, coordinate this. And so they kind of were upset about that. They were put off by it. They felt like they should be allowed to do that. I don't think they, you know, I understand their concerns, but I think that they didn't understand that, you know, running extension cords and putting things that could invite people to come in and vandalize were something the city needed to go through them before to get a good plan going before we did that. You know, you got an extension cord sitting out, going to a Christmas tree sitting up on the stage at Rolling Rock Park. Some kid comes up and plays with and gets shocked. The cities could be liable for that. So the city administrator, they ended up.
I never knew that before. I didn't know all this went on.
Yeah. So it was all on social media. And
Well, it didn't come to us though,
yeah.
Parks Committee.
Yeah, so Gail and I caught it, Gail Harris and I caught it on the social media, and we're kind of talking with the folks. And so they ended up putting a community Christmas tree up over at Stomping Grounds Coffee, and it was kind of a successful thing. A bunch of people brought some ornaments in of their own, and they decorated it up, and people were happy with it. It was you know, good feelings and everything. But I got on there and said, hey, you know, I'd like to, you know, kind of help you guys out and figure out a path forward, because basically what they were saying is, you know, the city wasn't festive enough, but other places were festive. I think they were kind of forgetting that the bridge down there is part of the city.
That is a big operation.
And the city does put some thought into it.
It.
However, it is, I can see their disassociation in terms of like, you know, let's make the city more festive. So I asked for some you know, people to be patient with me, that I try to roll through this and get something going. I do think that this is something that's going to have to grow. It's not, we're not going to get everything they want done at once, you know. I think, certain cities have pretty good light shows and pretty good decorations up during the holidays. Crestwell is one of the ones that's been, talked about. And I've been through there and they got, some nice stuff. We used to do a little bit more in Lowell, so along Moss, on the power poles on Moss, there were standards that were put up and every year they would hang some trees, kind of like, decorative trees and different things up Moss Street on all those power poles. I think those decorations probably aged out, is my guess. Somebody said they found those, actually. I guess they are still around. I thought maybe it was Max or somebody, I can't remember who said they found them, but they do still exist. So I thought, we only have so much time to do it and so much money to do it this year. Let's focus on the downtown area as much as we can. And that being Rolling Rock Park, it's the area that has electricity in it. It's got visibility, people driving through, probably more than anywhere else in town along North Shore there. And also Main Street stuff. You see it from the store, you can see it from the school, you can see it from Stomping Grounds Coffee. I thought it would be the appropriate place to start. I would like to grow outside that. I would like to talk to Jerry Valencia, to Jimmy, to Armando's, to Tumac, and other entities to see if we can't get them to participate on their own to help grow this, because I don't think the city can afford to make it all on their own. And obviously there'll be blocks where we can't decorate as much because that's somebody else's property or whatever. So the more we can engage people in the city to decorate throughout, the more it'll look festive and cheery during the dreary winter months we have in Oregon. I mean, Oregon's not exactly the brightest state in terms of the winter time. It is, short hours of daylight, a little gloomy. And I'd like to start with the holiday season from Thanksgiving to New Year's, but I'd like to grow this to, the 4th of July or Easter or Halloween and other holidays. So, when we think about things like lights, I would like to use like LEDs that have multicolors in them and we can program them so that it can be, red and green for
Yeah, that's what we have on the bridge.
yeah, and reutilize them for other times of the year and economize our money that we invest in this. This won't be possible for everything because obviously, a Christmas tree is a Christmas tree, a candy cane is a candy cane. Not every decoration works for every holiday, but the general lighting that I would like to purchase versus the decorations, maybe try to do stuff like that. So John, who's not here today, has done some research. He got some brochures going on from these companies that manufacture these large decorations that you would use in a city or in something like that. And I had major sticker shock. I was blown away by how much these decorations cost. So you're looking at a simple one being $200, a large one being $700 to $1,000, and they go way above that. So $10,000 sounds like a lot of money, George, but in reality, it doesn't go as far as you would think with the cost of these decorations. Maybe after I get done, you guys can look over these pamphlets that John provided me and kind of look at what I'm talking about for the cost. So I'd like some, I don't want to be the only one choosing what decorations we pick to put up in there. I'd like other people's help. I'm not necessarily I'm not an artistic person. I'm not a home decorator. I'm kind of the guy that maybe puts lights up in a straight line on his thing and, puts a few things up, but I'm definitely, that's not my forte. So I thought, the more people we involved in choosing these, because we're spending a lot of money on them, the better it would be. Maybe we would, do a better job of that. The community tree. So this is probably a separate issue that we may be able to fund in some other method, but they talked about that, that they bring the community tree back this year. What I would like to do is we're already planning on purchasing some trees. Tony?
Yeah, you're doing it.
Well, how about yourself?
Okay.
Good. So we're already planning on purchasing trees for Rolling Rock Park, and we've got a vision for it. We're trying to gain funding for that. But I thought we could gain a jump on it, and in the drawings we've had of the park, there's nothing like this denoted, but I don't see why we couldn't fit it in. And instead of purchasing, like, let's say a maple or, a magnolia tree or whatever, we purchase like a blue spruce or a noble fir or something like that and have a live tree that we put in the park. You can get a decent size one to begin with. I think you could probably get a pretty decent size one for anywhere from like $200 to $500 and get that in the ground and get a live tree growing that can grow with our community and grow with this. And each year we can go in and decorate that. Obviously, that takes some pre-planning in terms of the grade of the park, because we're gonna be doing some, there'll be some regrading in the park, and you wanna make sure the tree ends up on elevation. The final elevation should be, so you don't have to dig it up and transplant it, which is not good with trees. So I thought that would be a way we could get a tree in there instead of the fake trees that they got in here, they're insane. They're absolutely insane. And so I thought if we did a live tree, it could grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger, which would kind of represent the decorations growing as well and the community growing. I thought that'd be nice, and it'd be something that people could be involved in each year, that, and generational, somebody can remember coming there with their mom or their dad when they were kids, and someday they can come there with their kids and that same tree will be there. So I thought that'd be a nice touch. That takes a little more logistics and planning, but I thought that would be a nice touch to this. I personally think, there's some areas that are easier than others to hang decorations like this in the park. Some of the pole bases for the LED lights that are on the path have some 20 amp GFI circuits in the base of them. Most of these decorations are lit. And so the stage, we might be able to figure out a way to get a few more things done, but I think what we don't want to do is have a bunch of extension cords thrown out through the park. So I think we need to evaluate, kind of choose where we would locate these to minimize that kind of thing, direct plug in with just one cord kind of a thing, and not have tripping hazards and shock hazards, et cetera. So, and along the lines of the hanging baskets, so, to me, hanging baskets would kind of be the opposite part of the year from holiday decorations, at least the beginning Christmas holiday period. So hanging baskets, you really wouldn't want up in November, December, January. So what I was thinking is a lot of these have their own standards that they mount on. They basically have a clamp-on bracket that goes on a pole or something, and then the device goes in them. I was thinking if we could re-engineer this so that we could have the same standard support both the decorations and the hanging baskets. To support the hanging baskets, we can kind of multi-purpose that. Those poles, as big as they look, aren't that big, so to try to do two things on there and taking the clamps on and off every year. The ones that were on the power poles for a long time, they just stayed there, and all they took down was the decoration. They had some kind of a slot that they fit in, tube, steel, square tube, or round tube, something like that. These are similar kind of hookups to them. And then I thought maybe what we could do is with the hanging baskets, maybe we could develop a relationship. We've been courteous to the school regarding parking in the area that they've got now, and parking the buses out here when they needed to. We were hoping we could develop a relationship with them. I think, at least I talked to Jeremy about this, and that is maybe we could take the hanging baskets down. If we get a perennial instead of an annual style hanging basket, we could take them down when it starts to become the weather where they really shouldn't be out anymore, and ask the school if we could leave them in the greenhouses that they have for their Nexus program. And then we would save our investment and keep having to rebuy these every year. If they die off every year, we have to replant them. Like that, if we can keep them going through the winter and then bring them back out in the spring when it's good enough weather to bring them back out, so something, like take them off in September or early October, whatever it works for the plants that we choose, and then bring them back out in the spring, let's say April or May, and winter them over in the greenhouses. I don't know if we can perfectly make, there's further evaluation needs to be done, whether we can purchase like these without and then manufacture our own mounts, or whether we can adapt the mounts here. I haven't looked into it that far yet. But I think that would be a good thing to be able to just have one thing that we mount on there at one time and leave it forever. Don't know about the stage, what we would do there, but like I said, lights are a cheap way to go compared to some of these decorations. Like I was telling these guys, some of these decorations are like $200 to $500 to $700 a piece for each individual decoration. Whereas you can get the LED lights, like I put some at the Hearns house when Steve was remodeling his house up there. I bought some strip lights and they're very programmable, and I think they were, in the neighborhoods like $100 a strand for a pretty good length. And they probably, this has been quite a few years back, LED technology has come along quite a bit. We may be able to find something so we can wrap some poles or, do some lines on edges of the stage, or possibly the gazebos that are there for the things. I'm not sure what it all, maybe the trees, maybe we might be able to figure out a couple trees that are close to some power sources. I don't know what it all looks like yet, but, I've also put out some inquiries to the people that expressed interest in this last year and said, hey, this can't just be, me doing this. I need help. We need people to help hang the decorations, to make decisions, possibly to donate, time or money to grow this. It kind of has to be a community effort. But I think Jeremy and I, we want to make the best. We want to try to give it a seed from the city and see if we can grow it from there. I've got a few people interested. I think it's one of those things where I've got to kind of keep working at that to try to get more and more people interested. A lot of people express interest or express concern over decisions that are made in whether it be the city or the school or an organization, and they don't really want to step up and volunteer to make things better. They just want to make observations about how things aren't as good as they can be. We need to get people that really want to be involved.
Well, that's the key all along.
Yeah.
And being involved in the Blackberry Jam all these years, with volunteers, and you have to have people who would volunteer.
Absolutely.
And if you come up with an idea, then you need to kind of spearhead your idea to bring it to fruition. Otherwise, it finishes up with 3 people, and that doesn't work at all. And that is a concern. And one of my concerns is going to do all this.
Yeah.
And so you've really got to get people that are really want to do it. You have a lot to say, then.
Well, there's also some considerations, George, about what they can do too, because I think Jeremy and I talked about this. We don't really want folks climbing ladders that aren't city personnel. We enter into insurance issues and things like that. But whatever they can do, boots on the ground, that we deem, maybe we talk to the city attorney or our insurance agents and see what is acceptable to them in terms of the level of risk to allow these volunteers to participate. Otherwise, I think it does have to be city staff that go up on the ladders and do the top, do the work that needs to be done off of ladders. But there's plenty of work to be done on the ground. Somebody's got to hand the decorations to the people on the ladder.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's face it, we've been doing this a few years for the bridge.
Yeah.
So we're pretty, and of course, that is technically a range-sponsored event.
Mhm.
And it's all been done with volunteers.
Yeah.
So there again, it's something to think about. But there again, the thing is, the more volunteers you have, the more community-minded the populace is. And I've noticed as we've got less and less volunteers doing things and more city doing things, we don't have the interest. The same with in the volunteerism department. And it's pretty evident when we've come to try and do things now. I'm kind of digressing here, but there again, some things, we're not quite sure if it's a city event with volunteers or if it's a volunteer event with help from the city.
Yeah.
And that's some of the things you need to be.
That's for sure. I'd like to make this something to where it's at least 50-50.
Oh, yeah.
That would be my desire.
You need to coax the volunteer side of it.
But we definitely see that, George. I mean, just trying to fill these committees that we have throughout the city.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a challenge trying to do that, to get enough people that are willing to step up and, give a few hours a week or a month to do that. So
It's even going to be worse now because we've all been at home.
Mhm.
We've all got into this habit of not doing anything, as it were, that to get outside that comfort zone now for this sort of thing takes some coaxing.
Well, I think any kind of festival or anything like that that's ongoing for years on end, it requires people to be excited about it, to feel engaged with it. It is something, things that carry on, the Rose Festival or, fairs, things like that. Those really take, people that are excited. They have to be something that gets people engaged. And I do think the decorations will. I think, you put that community tree up down there, I think you'll see people engage with that. You get some lights and some decorations up, I think it will, offer a level of excitement. And we might see some people, I've had somebody already approach me and say, hey, could I purchase some lights for this, a couple light strands? And if we just got, a few people like that each year to grow this, it doesn't, I'm not trying to knock the socks off of it. With 10 grand, we're gonna get some decorations up. It's gonna look a little more festive in the downtown area. And hopefully that will breed that. And if we can't get more than that, we're basically, if it ends up being that's as far as it goes, I still think that's a good place. And it doesn't have to require, because, 10,000 doesn't go too far. It's not like it's gonna require 100 hours from city personnel every year to get these. Once the standards are mounted on those poles, we get the clamp set up on them. It's really gonna be, a day process probably, or something like that, for a couple guys to throw them up. I hope it grows more than that. But I do see the void. I mean, certain neighborhoods in the city get some lights put up, certain houses in certain neighborhoods, some are more than others. But really, in that area down there, there's just not enough houses in the downtown area to really make it appear that festive. I think stepping up and doing that would address some people's desires. And I don't think it's a bad investment. I think it's, this was all during, the middle of COVID when these people were making these complaints and everybody was down, stuck at home. I mean, I think that, showing some Christmas spirit or holiday spirit next year would be a good thing. I think it would be a good regrowth. I think everything coming out of all this stuff, looking a little brighter and cheerier would be a good thing. So we've got the money allocated. What I need help with is whatever level people want to work with me in terms of doing the decorating when we get ready to do that. But what I really need help with is choosing some decorations and making some decisions on probably the division of how much we want to spend on these hanging baskets and how much we want to spend on these decorations. And then maybe just helping me carry the coordination forward from year to year to year, whatever that looks like. I don't think it's going to require a lot of the Parks and Rec Committee's time at this point in time. But I do think that you guys are the appropriate organization or entity to approach because Rolling Rock's a park. So I think that's kind of what Jeremy was feeling too, so.
I agree so far with what you've been saying, and I agree to Rolling Rock seems eventually that's going to be the center of downtown, and I think we do, because of limited budgets and all that, we need to start off small and see how receptive everything is, and then eventually you can always grow out as far as decorations and this and that. And yeah, they used to, I don't know about downtown, but they used to string banners up along Moss with those brackets. I don't know what happened with the banners and all that, but they seem like they're kind of ready to go, so to speak. And if we could have brackets like that at Rolling Rock, I think that would be a good idea. As far as the hanging baskets, I saw a picture of a small town, I guess it was, with huge hanging baskets all down the main street and everything. It looked great.
Sweet Home has some pretty nice decorations in their downtown. They got a lot of volunteers in the Sweet Home, and they have a median strip with a bunch of flowers in it and stuff headed down on the sides, on the sidewalks. So,
You'd have to get somebody, I'm assuming, to water them at some point and that sort of stuff. But I think all that can be worked out,
we might even be able to get something off of the irrigation system that we're designing for Rolling Rock eventually, to do some kind of a side with a drip system that goes into these. There's a possibility that, you can, that's not hard to engineer off of an irrigation system.
Right.
So the more automation, probably the more desirable,
Yeah.
I do have a concern of the hanging baskets of vandalism like that.
Well, and I have a concern about vandalism, period. Whether it be hanging baskets or Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
Because I understand you were able to finally put some lights up in Rolling Rock? Stage area and all that, or was it security cameras or something? Because it went at night, when you drive down from here, you can't see the stage.
And security cameras, I don't know about lights.
Yeah, well, the lighting, the last time I drove down there sucked.
Well, I understood that there's a sensor there, so if somebody gets onto the stage, it lights up. I think that's what it used to be when it was redone, but I'm not quite sure.
I'm not either, we'd have to check with Max on
I
that.
think there's a sensor on there that put
There is,
the
like-
floodlight on.
Winter, I think my kids jump up there.
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
I don't know if it's working.
Yeah, I don't either. I only know that when, one night I noticed after one of our winter meetings, it was dark early. And you start driving down, you couldn't see the stage from this end of the
Yeah.
park.
Yeah, your car was,
It was
but
very,
if you
very
went on the
dark.
stage, it was, I think that's what we did.
Yeah.
And the sensor on there.
Is it $10,000 from the city or is it volunteer or a
From the city.
combination?
I am trying to advocate to get more people involved, and as we go forward, try to get donations. I would probably reapproach the city each year to add a little supplemental to that. I don't know if I'd hit them up to like 10,000 again. But if we could do like 2 more decorations each year, and throw like $1,500 at each year from the city, you know, this is a seed, and then just grow slowly from that. I'm not looking to break the bank for the city on this. Yeah, but I mean, and I'm not sure if you came in when I said it, but I'd like to engage the business owners in the city to do their, to see if they would be involved in decorating their own, you know, because if we get Jerry across the street, Jimmy across the street, to decorate their stuff, Stomping Grounds Coffee, maybe even the school, you know, if we could, school may have some issues with being involved with holiday decorations, I'm not sure on that. But, you know, trying to engage more volunteers, even if the adjacent property owners, private citizens would be more willing to decorate their houses. And I think, you know, you always have that thing where, you know, you drive up your street and 5 of your neighbors have lights and you're like, oh, I better run to Walmart, get some lights because I'm gonna look like the, you know, the Grinch here in the community. I think the more we have it, the more other people will engage.
Yeah, it becomes infectious.
Yes, and so it may be a little bit, but I'd like to see it, you know, like, hey, you know, this be kind of something that's here and then just kind of spreads through the city like a virus, George. Yeah, a good virus though. So that's what my desire is that we show something and then we get a reaction from other people to start doing it. And whatever that looks like in terms of volunteering time, money, donating equipment, or decorating your own property or your business. And really try to, you know, make Lowell look like one of those communities that's really a festive community. I think people that drive through will see it and will remember the town. I think people that live here will be, you know, I've been through plenty of communities in my life that were really engaged in holiday decoration. It's really neat to go down there. I mean, it's really cool to go to a downtown area that is really well decorated. And that's why you see in these movies that are showing holiday things. I mean, that's part of the whole thing is they'll go through and take their cameras right through downtown, you know, and it's like, wow, this is like holiday central, you know, and it's kind of a neat thing. I also said that I want to engage this and grow this outside of just the Christmas and Hanukkah and Thanksgiving holiday season. I'd like to buy lights that can be used and utilized on different light spectrums for Halloween, for Easter, for the 4th of July, and eventually grow, but I just don't want to make this too wide of a scope to begin with. But if I can purchase lights that we can hang for Christmas and lights that we can use the same lights for the 4th of July, I think that's a win for us. You know?
So you'd have to keep taking them down and putting them up.
Once again, if we look at devices that can
Depends where
offer
you
us
want them, right?
ease,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and some of these LED lighting things are very sturdy and appropriate to be left up full time. So like, let's say we wanted to do some lights on the back inside. That's what I did at Steve's house up there. I was lit up the inside of some eaves of a big overhang that he built up there. We can get on the inside and get it up high enough. I don't see any reason why some of these things couldn't just be left, you know, and
Yeah, but,
just turn it
but
on.
if they're, of course, I don't know what you're looking at really, but
I don't either yet.
standing structures would be an issue though, you know, we'd have to take them down if they're, you know, something you stuck in the ground and.
I'm talking more about like decorating the stage.
on something.
like up
Yeah,
in behind the
yeah,
upper part of the
yeah.
stage, you know, almost hidden up there, sort
Yeah.
of like a backlight that's coming down, kind of casting. some
Yeah,
light.
like around the bathroom.
Yeah. So I don't know, what the- you know, the more things we can do to make the installation either permanent or ease of reinstallation, the better. That's the
Yeah.
win for us, is to make this an efficient process of the decoration and removal.
There again, a lot of it, we're, thinking of the future. Right now, we're restricted because we're going to be remodeling,
Mhm.
you know, some of those plans would probably complete trying to do something now, but at least with what we have down there, we should be able to.
And like I said, I'm referring more to this is probably not this year. This year, we'll
Yeah.
probably be happy to get 10 or 15 of these decorations, these are pretty spendy, and get them hung and unhung this year.
Yeah,
And then,
round the stage and round the bathroom.
and then next year, what can we, that we've purchased, we've got that we've hung them one time, what can we do to make that easier? What can we do to make it better? What can we do to make it more efficient?
Now, will this be in place of doing the bridge now?
No, I don't think so. I'd like to continue doing the bridge. I think the bridge is already caught the eye of a much larger area than
yeah.
just the citizens of Lowell.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
So-
it's amazing because we usually check with them.
No, what I'd like to see, George, is you drive,
Way,
what I'd like to
Yeah,
see, George,
yeah.
is you go by the bridge, and then we eventually have decorations the rest of the way up the causeway, and then that's just that's the gateway, and then eventually we have this arch that we have in our vision for our downtown master plan, to where you're coming in the gate down off of 58, you go by the bridge, which is lit up. You got some lights on both sides, there's some decorations on both sides, you're heading up the causeway, and you come into Lowell and you see that archway that we've got, 3 or 4 different versions of, whether it looks like some pillars, whether it looks like something over this, you're coming into Lowell, and it's, holiday central, whatever holiday it is, or whatever we can do with it.
You call it Christmas, why do we have to call it holiday? It's Christmas.
Well, I'm saying the 4th of
Yeah.
July and other
Yeah.
ones too, I'm not trying to be denominational or non-denominational for Christmas, I'm just saying that holidays in general, so, but I think that, no, absolutely do not remove, I think the bridge is masterful, I think it catches the eye of everybody that drives on Highway 58. Unfortunately, they really don't know there's anything past that.
Yes, it's very, very hard when you're working down at the bridge to, get people to understand there's more to it than that bathroom there.
Yeah.
It's a shame, really.
But let's, maybe that's now the eye catcher that brings them into the city, or, it's a, all of a sudden it becomes a destination for people. You see every year, you'll see people post on social media, hey, where's a good place to go drive and take my kids to go watch the Christmas lights? I'd like to see people say Lowell. We have some more restaurants here, maybe in the future, and obviously at this point in time, we're not looking a year or two down the road, but this is, I think as people that are in organizations that are representing the city, we have to look at perpetuity. We have to look at what it's gonna look like 20 years from now, what it's gonna look like 50 years from now, and what we're gonna leave for those future organizational entities, whoever's on the park committee then, or whoever's on the city council then, or whoever the city administrator is then, and hand them something that they can have be, run with and make it even further. I think that's something that all of us desire, to leave Lowell and its citizens in a better place than it was when we got here and when we started, instead of, this, instead of, all the volunteers are done, George and Hall and Tony, and I don't know your name.
I'm Joe.
Hi, Joe, are off the park committee, and we got nobody for a while, and it drops off. I think, we'd like to see this, and I think that's, I think that, if we have the bridge decorated, and we got Rolling Rock Park decorated, I think that we could get some connectivity through that over the years and that growth, and then I think we can push on up towards Tumac, and hopefully more citizens. I mean, eventually, I'd like to see it just be, like I said, a destination for people that, hey, let's pop our kids in the car. I used to go regularly to South Eugene. There's a couple neighborhoods in South Eugene that are very well decorated. They got some incredible decorations in some of those neighborhoods. I'd like to see Lowell be that destination. If I'll drive Eugene, because it's got some fantastic lights, and I know people go to other places, I think eventually people will come here to look at the lights, if we can grow this. But right now, I'd just be happy to make the citizens of Lowell a little happier than they were last winter, and satisfy their goal of having more festivity within the, the actual area that are people in on a regular basis that people are occupying driving through. The bridge is great, it's wonderful, but our kids aren't walking by the bridge in December. They're down there in the middle of summer when they're fishing and things like that. It really is kind of a island to itself down there. It's away from us. I don't even know if people connect that to the, I honestly don't. I don't know if they don't. I would assume that some people think that either ODOT or the county or somebody else does all that if they just drive by and see it, that there's no connection to us. Let's make it connected so they know that's part of us.
You need our help figuring out.
Picking decorations and also making decisions on, do we want to, I wish John was here because he's really the flower baskets was his idea. Need some help probably doing a walkthrough in the park soon. Jeremy and I figure if we can get these decorations ordered by the end of July or August, we can probably get them in time to put up. I think we'd like to see them in our hands by October, so Max and myself and the city staff can look at them and see what we gotta do to get them out on the poles or the lights on the stage or whatever that is. Having the thing in your hand and having a month to work with is probably a good idea, so you can kind of engineer the mounts and things. But making decisions on possibly on, percentages of how much we want to spend on the flowers versus how much we want to spend on the decorations. Deciding which decorations, maybe deciding which flower baskets or whether we want to, I think that it's really kind of, I think John's kind of leaving it up to you guys to make a decision about what you want to do with these options. Just help me develop this. And like I said, I've engaged other people and trying to develop a contact list for other people within the community who want to come help with this. The more people we can get involved with this, the better. If we could get 3 or 4 or 5 other people, it'd be great.
Well, what is it, 8 lights in the park? I think there's 8.
Okay.
So 2 baskets on each light, right? Is that what you would suggest?
That's up to John. I personally think 1 basket on each light. I mean, those baskets are 50 to 75 to $100
Yeah.
easy a piece.
What?
Yeah, and they're
Where?
big, they're big.
Do we need that?
So here's the thing, maybe something we do is we approach the school, the Nexus program and say, hey, can you guys create these baskets for us? How much would you charge us? Could we get them cheaper by planting them and having them in the greenhouse growing and be ready for spring? Because that's what they do in Jerry.
Well, I see all these
Some farm
people
does that same thing.
I see all these people with hanging baskets around the house. They're not $100 for those.
You're paying $25 for one of those small ones, easy.
Well, do we have to have those poles are not very high.
Nope.
So to me, if you got a really big one, it would look kind of top heavy.
Mhm.
So wouldn't we not be better off with a smaller, 2 smaller baskets, so it would balance up the.
My personal take is, I don't know if baskets is the way to go. Would it be better to do like, some of those poles have some ground around them. I think, Jared went in there and he planted that big center strip that we had gravelled at one time. He had the kids all come in there and plant that all with flowers just in the ground. Our basket's the way we want to go. I'm gonna let John advocate for that in the long run. I'm just doing the best I can in his.
Well, I
absence,
think baskets would look nicer on poles as you walk through the park.
Yeah,
So the immediate thing would be the holiday decorations.
that's my gig.
Because the
We're-
baskets or whatever.
We're a little
that
late
are-
here already for that.
Yeah, should be like next.
I think that's what I'm saying, next spring. So maybe we could approach Nexus and say, this is what we need. Can you build us something like this? It could be a project that they could engage their Nexus people on, make some money off of it, but maybe not as much as we would have to pay. Let's say if we purchase these at the Little Red Barn or at Jerry's or Home Depot or something like that, maybe we can get something for them to be involved in as well. And I fully think that Johnny and Mark Kinsley and any of the other people involved in the Nexus program would be more than happy to at least discuss it with us and try to figure something out. I had talked about overwintering these in the greenhouses, I think, before you came. And them doing the maintenance, that way if we keep them going year to year.
There's also-
Wheel every year.
On Lakeview, there's also that little flower
Yeah,
shop
Selena.
business.
Yep.
She may have some decent ideas.
Yeah, I think engaging her in something like this would be wonderful, because I'm not,
She probably may have a resource to get some of these at a
Yeah.
different price.
so, I think that we're in the pretty early stages of this, and will we have an opportunity this year to design a mounting system that will hang both the baskets and the lights from them? Probably not.
Probably
We'll
not,
probably just end
yeah.
up having to buy the stanchions that are with these, but can we redesign those later? So we don't have to keep taking two things up and down, like, you know, like some kind of a hook that's mounted up there for those, and then some kind of a pop-in mount for these, that if we can integrate those two things. But I think once we have these, we can work on maybe, so what I see is maybe like, so these probably are like a double clamp on mount, like a double bolt that goes on these. And they probably go out and they probably have, some kind of a, like I said before, some kind of a, tube steel round or square. Could we design a piece that goes in there that then has a bracket off of it, so we can adapt these to be the hangers for the plants? I think that's probably the easiest route to go. And not start over again and try to design something from scratch that would go. You know, what can we do to modify these? There's other, I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't perused these in detail. I don't have a lot of ideas because I didn't want to head too far down the road by myself without input. Last thing I wanted everybody to go, I picked the worst Christmas decorator in the whole world. You know, but it's not gonna take long to spend $10,000.
Yeah, we gotta
You
be
know,
careful.
I think I personally, my personal take is, I do think we can cheaply modify the brackets that we get for these to hang the plants from. I personally think $1,000 is probably enough easy to take care of all the flowers and plants, maybe only 500 to take care of the hanging baskets if there's only 8 lights.
I think there's eight. Yeah.
And then, so maybe like 500 to 1,000 for the hanging baskets is what we reserve till next spring. And then we spend 9 to 9.5 on the decorations for this year. If we find out that 500 is not quite enough for the baskets next year, maybe we reapproach the city or something. But I truly do. I think if we engage Nexus and the kids at the school and Selena, that we could probably pull something off for $500. It would be very beautiful and appropriate for the park. I think fragrant stuff is what we want there. I want to walk through that park and smell the park, not just see it, but I want to smell it.
Instead of the pot,
Huh?
instead of smelling the pot.
Yeah, that, yeah. We could plant those and supplement our income. How about that?
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, you know, I think that a lot of those hanging baskets, the ones they do have a lot of fragrance in them. That's the intent, is you have both, you know, petunias or something that really has a good fragrance and grows pretty well.
Let me back up. You're talking about adjusting those brackets on the pole. So are you going to put some kind of decoration on each pole at Christmas then?
That would be my intent, but that's the other
I
part of the
I
assessment.
just wondered how that was something that would stick out somewhere, I guess, some filigree kind of thing. or something.
Yeah, well, if you guys, maybe if you guys want to come over and look at what we've got here, I mean, just kind of, I'll just open up these brochures and kind of see the styles that they've got. I can bring them over there if you want, Hall.
So we need to look at what we have to work with, as to
Yeah,
what might fit for this year, really.
So John has been getting me those, I don't know where he gets them
Who's
from.
John?
He's the other city council person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, John Myers.
Missed all you guys showing up at the Grange on the ice cream social on Saturday.
I should have.
Yeah. So duty.
I need to pay my Grange fees, George.
You do.
I was afraid that Maureen would
We'll come after you.
steal my wallet if I was
There-
down
there
there.
you
I
go.
ordered at least 2 years
There
of
you go.
Grange fees. I'm horrible. So here, it looks like these are some of the mounting systems right here. You know, so,
Oh, it's like the banner thing.
yeah.
You see, one of the problems we have with the banners. was
That's
that
what this
we
whole
could-
brochure
We
is
could
about.
not get a piece of equipment to get them up. Because, you know, we used to use the papes, forklift. whatever you
So
call it.
here's maybe where we engage. So like I got Lane Electric to engage for my grease pole down there,
Mm.
to bring their bucket truck in
Yeah.
to set my grease pole and pull my grease pole out for the Blackberry Jam. So I mean, the more things we can do, so the same bracket can work for, you know, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, or Christmas, you know, so, and the more things we can
What's the
do,
length of it?
I don't know.
These ones here are like 3 to 4 feet.
So the bracket, so this one's like, a 1.5 by 3, a 1.5 by almost 4, a 1.5 by, a little under 3 by 2.5 by 5, and 2.5 by 7, so, so they vary in size.
But the lamps are, the lamps are not very high.
Well, they're not.
So
They're
we
not,
have to be
absolutely not.
careful how far
I-
down
I
they come.
100% agree.
Otherwise, we have more problems.
So if you look at some of these decorations, they got sizes on them, so this is like a 6-foot snowflake. I mean, that's not something we're gonna hang off of the thing, but that could hang off the middle of the stage really easy, so.
See, that's that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I don't, I can't 3.5 feet.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
there's
it's
some
not-
of them that are a lot smaller.
Yeah. I mean,
They're
because
a
that's
lot
when
more
they shoot
affordable.
it higher than the lamp.
Like this is a 3-foot one. In multiple sizes, 3 foot, 4 foot, and 5 foot. I think we're in obviously a big cost savings, from one size to the other. I mean, I do think that the big stuff would be appropriate for the stage, whereas the poles would
Yeah,
be
we have to
smaller.
be careful, yeah.
But in the future, if we
Yeah.
can start redoing stuff on the power poles, we can look at getting bigger stuff.
Right,
later.
yeah.
So, and,
We've got to think what we can get for this year.
Yes.
Based on what we have to work with, which are the poles.
well, I think there's a chance to possibly go beyond the poles. There's a few power poles down there that we might be able to do something with, I think we should set up a walkthrough down there with this in mind. I think, we've all been through the park, but when you have a project happening that's very specific, you kind of view it with different eyes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
You see things you didn't see before.
absolutely. So, but like I said, these are not cheap decorations, This is why I wanted to do, this is why I wanted to just plant a tree, because these lit trees are like $1,200.
Yeah, you're wasting your time.
We can buy a 10 or 12-foot noble fir or blue spruce for probably $200 to $300.
Yeah. We don't really need to do that at that point until we've got the park right.
I don't know. I think the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The next best time to plant a tree is today.
Yeah, but, it could be in the wrong place.
I'm stealing somebody's
You know,
thunder there,
you
by the
know.
way.
Okay. so-
That's why I said a careful assessment. We may not get it this year, so.
Because, what is our final plan and layout for the park?
Well, I think some things you can see though, the stage isn't going anywhere.
No, right, yeah, but there's a lot more to
The
the. park.
sidewalk on the other side isn't going anywhere. Moss Street and Main Street aren't going anywhere. We have certain elevations that we can see. If we hit this thing within a foot or two, I think we can work around it.
Oh, Rolling Rock Park's not going.
No, it's not gonna change.
Well,
much.
the thing is,
No.
we've got to remember, the park now goes all the way to Main Street.
Yes,
See, so, all that needs to be thought out. It doesn't have to be in that area where the walkways are.
yeah, it does, it could be over in that other quarter.
Depending on how it's gonna finish, that's what I'm thinking.
Well, we've got some drawings of where we want to go with the park. I think we can kind of get close on the mark with where we want it at.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think that, around like where the playground area is, like, you don't really want a pokey blue spruce or a noble fir right by the playground. I think this is gonna be something that needs to be off from other things. The water regime for a noble fir or blue spruce is probably different than the water regime for a maple or some other decorative tree. So maybe, we need to get some advice and look into that, but I think that without too much more time, we could probably find an appropriate elevation and grade and get one in the ground and run with it. The other option would be to buy a live one for now, and just like I did with the pole base, we could dig something that it could go in, and then we can remove it and go set it somewhere else. Like, I got from the library here for a couple of years. But
Still
in the pot,
Yeah,
Just set the
yeah.
pot in the ground for now,
Temporary thing.
and then cover
Yeah.
that back up in the off.
Yeah, and that might be the best thing for now, till we know exactly
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Yeah. But I'd like to get that community tree versus just something in a dead one in a Christmas tree base that we just throw away. Even a dead tree now, even a tree that's gonna die is anywhere from $50 to $75 for a 7-foot, 6-foot noble fir.
Which is what we.
But the thing about the master plan for Rolling Rock is that's years down the road. It's not gonna happen next year.
Oh, no,
That's why I don't wanna wait until then to do this. I'd
That's
like
what
to see
I'm
that
thinking.
tree growing.
thinking
you
as to
know.
where we want to put it, but it doesn't screw up the plan.
And like, if we don't get it in this year, if we can get it in the ground in the next couple of years, even if it predates Rolling Rock Park, just doing a careful assessment,
Right,
specifically of
exactly.
the elevation and the, location within, based on our drawings that we've got, I think we can come pretty close.
I think
Find a
so.
spot. There's enough room there.
I mean,
yeah.
the master plan is not set in stone.
No, but we want to kind of be.
We want to be close.
Close.
You wanna be close, but I think we're smart, we can do that.
And not just thinking Rolling Rock Park is what we're seeing now.
I specifically think that we shouldn't put it in where we've got now.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think it should go somewhere in that quadrant
Yeah,
over there,
I
to
do.
that side of the stage and that side.
That's what I'm thinking, there's develop around it.
Yeah.
Down the road.
Yeah.
But it'd be too cluttered if we put it in the existing park.
Especially if we look at 30 years down the road, it's gonna be a big
Yeah.
tree, it's gonna be
Yeah.
a tree that's,
Yeah.
25, 30 feet tall and getting bigger
And
every
you need
year.
a fire department then to decorate.
That's okay, I'm fine with that, if that's what it takes in the long run.
Well,
If we can grow it that big.
That's
Can
what
you can you imagine 75 years from now,
Yeah.
my great grandchildren will be out there decorating the same tree, what a feeling that would be.
Well, in the,
that-
in the Bay Area, the fire departments used to come round and decorate the tree.
I was watching this thing back east, so they got the lobster fishermen back on the east coast and the crab fishermen.
Yeah.
Every year in their community, they come and they take all their crab rings and their crab pots and they build an enormous Christmas tree out of these. They stack them all up in the off season and run lights through it. And it's literally like, I mean, it's crazy tall. It's like 50 feet tall of these crab rings stacked up into a pyramidal shape to form a Christmas tree. And it's like this great drawing thing that people come there to see in the winter, and the community is really engaged in it. So, we're not gonna get everything done tonight. I wanted to come broach the subject. I was hoping maybe to set up a walkthrough so we can go look at where we have electrical outlets specifically with this in mind. I've looked, the Blackberry Jam, I've been involved with folks setting up, with Mike Alvin setting up the spider boxes and stuff. This isn't really that same thing. We don't really want to string spider boxes and big extensions.
Well, it's a
cords around
different
the
thing
park.
altogether.
Yeah, so I'd like to go and get, do a little drawing of where we've got things at. Doesn't have to be good, because I'm not a great
Well,
artist.
again, for now, utilizing what we have and decorating what we have, which would eliminate having to run cable.
And I am pushing the city, he doesn't know this because I haven't pushed him that much, but I've been pushing Jared from day one to getting the underground electrical in with the irrigation systems. And even if we can't pull everything in and get all the light posts going, now is the time to get the electrical conduits underground. I would like to eliminate for the Blackberry Jam and the festivals, I would like to see dispersed power sources throughout this park, so that we can grow this, so that we can have people plug it in for festivals and the Blackberry Jam. And so ground fault circuit interrupted, multiple circuits run off the panels at the stage. We might even have to get another service in there or something. I'm not sure how that's gonna look. But I want to get now's the time to get the conduit underground for the electrical systems. And even if it's just for future, the cost in getting conduit in the ground, whether it be PVC for water or electrical, is the digging. It's not in the pipe. And so if we're gonna be doing the irrigation system, at the same time, we should be putting conduit as many places we can in that park to give us options for the future.
Yeah, trench will already be opened up.
Yeah.
It makes sense, just go ahead and bolt.
How
it
would
in.
you,
And maybe some communication lines for like speakers and things like that too, whatever that, couple of sets of conduits.
how would you bring the plug to the surface? Because, we have vendors all over the place. I mean, would these, receptacles be, where would they be?
So that's something that you have to wait till you get a little further down the road. So let's say you bring a conduit underground and you decide after we get the park rolling a little bit more, you say, right there, I want to get that. We know we got a pipe 2 foot from the sidewalk right there. We dig down, we cut the pipe, we cut it back the appropriate amount so we can 90 it up. We set a junction box over it or whatever the device that we look, we just set a 4x4 with a pipe coming up it, that the 290s come up the it, or we set it, or like I said, I think in the ground ones with lock-in junction boxes is the way to go, and have the people running down into there so we can keep vandalism from happening, things like that. But so you just cut the pipe and you don't bring the wires in until it's time. We just get the pipe in the ground, you can modify that whatever way you want, as long as the wire's not in.
Yeah, that's the big thing, get the conduit in there.
Yeah. So you just cut it back, 90 it up, and you're ready to go. We just have to make sure that this irrigation generally runs tracer lines along their lines, so we can find these at any point in time. I mean, it's not like, I've had to find a lot of buried conduits in the past, but we can make sure that we get a good as-built from the folks that are putting them in. Maybe engage Jason and see if he'd be willing to do the part of installing the conduits in the ground or something. But get them in the ground, and then worry about where they're going to be later. Try to get as much in the ground as we can so we have options. So let's say that you know, we're going 2 foot off the Main Street sidewalk and 2 foot off the Moss sidewalk. We just run a big U around the park, okay? And then we decide later on that 15 feet in, there's gonna be a flower bed that's kind of like a peninsula, and we want one there. Then we've only got to dig a 15-foot thing. We cut the thing, we 90 it that way, we 90 it that way, come over, and then come up 15 foot. We minimize the amount of intrusion we have to do later on. We just give a basic grid to begin with that we can grow off of when we know more about details about where things are at. So,
So you need, so we're gonna give ideas for this. Yep. And then you need, us to be at the walkthrough for the.
I think we should do the walkthrough first.
I do too,
With
then
these,
just see what we think would be okay for this.
So set up like another just a time to do that. Whether
Yeah.
it's like
What's a convenient
July.
time?
that are.
I don't know how frequent you guys do your park committee meetings.
Pardon?
I don't know how frequent you guys do. these
Every month.
meetings. Every month.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
So you guys are on the
Now,
office.
now that we're free.
So are you guys doing it once a month on, what are we on, the second Thursday or third Thursday? of the month? You do them on the second Thursday of every month?
Yeah.
So would you guys prefer to do it during a regular parks committee meeting, or would you guys prefer to do it on an off day so you can? this is-
Well, the second Thursday
Mhm.
would be the 15th of July.
Okay, I think that might be a little far pushing it out. I think I'd like to meet before then.
That's
if
what I'm
possible.
saying, because based on what you were saying, you've got to get the order in pretty quick.
The thing is, this is all digital online ordering. I don't, you know, I guess one 800. I don't think the ordering process is gonna be that tough.
Well, sometimes these things take forever to get here after you've ordered them, you know.
How would the 1st of July work? Let's see what I got.
It's a Thursday.
So we have a library meeting that day, on the 1st of July.
Yeah, boss, is that during the day?
It's at 6 PM to 7 PM, I think, is what I've got written down right now. Or sometimes I set my reminders.
Start at 6, last couple hours.
A library meeting?
Library committee.
Oh, I didn't know we had one.
yeah, you're in the library.
I didn't know that.
I could probably do it at 7.
Maggie would be ashamed of me.
I could probably do it at 7 on the first.
Yeah, the problem is we have that library committee meeting, it's kind of a big deal, so,
Oh,
could we meet like at, is that starting at 6, Jeremy, am I right, or do I have my, sometimes I set my alarm an hour early, just so I make sure
6, yeah.
is that 6?
Yeah.
How about the 2nd? Friday the 2nd.
Well,
Have
for that
anything
to
for
me
that?
right now, I mean, I'm kind of okay that week.
Paul?
probably have to be,
All of us surgery.
I'm open all day that day. I work
I
four
work that.
times.
I work that day,
You do?
but I could be here by 7. 7's hard, but I mean, I could probably do 7.
There's something wrong with the weekend.
I could do the 3rd.
Nothing.
I could probably do the 3rd.
The 3rd would be fine for me.
That's it, yeah, the weekend, Saturday,
Saturday.
right?
Tony? So why don't we do it on the 3rd? It's hot. Why don't we do it in the
What
morning?
time's good for you, John?
I think the morning.
The morning works best for me.
Good.
So I could be as early as
9 o'clock?
that would work for me.
9 o'clock works for me.
Yeah, I'm setting.
I'll knock you off.
Okay, now, you need to quit saying that until you tell everybody what that
Oh,
means.
shit, that's, we talked about that.
Knocking people up. So in England,
Oh,
they used to pay people to go around with these big sticks or on the doors, and they would knock people up
Knock on
and
your
wake them
window.
up. They were alarm clocks before alarm clocks. He said this at a Blackberry Jam committee meeting one day, and everybody's jaws dropped. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I mean, it's just normal conversation, you know, I mean,
So we looked it up, we explained it, and I saw it in a movie the other day.
did you really?
And I was like, I knew what it was, because I was like, that's the knocker upper.
That's right, it's an occupation, a knocker-upper.
How long you been over here?
There's a lot of things I've, you
Yeah.
know, flip-flop. Okay, where are we going to meet?
I think we can meet at the stage.
Sounds good.
Stage.
Yeah.
Okay. And another thing I can do is, maybe I'll make some copies of these. And,
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I'll make
We
some
can have a
copies
look
of
at
these, so
them.
you guys, I'll hand them out that day.
Well, I'll tell you what, can we get them before?
I can facilitate that. How about I drop them off with Jeremy?
Yeah.
So I'll get some copies made of these, that way you guys get time to peruse them. I haven't even had that much time to peruse them. in
I got it,
detail.
I took a picture.
So- Okay, yeah, that's a big deal, is you can find all this online, I guarantee you.
Oh, I've got patience for that.
What was the date on this?
I'm not an online
The
guy.
third,
Of
July.
July.
3rd of July, before the day we gave up on you.
Before the fourth.
what was your name again?
Joe,
Last name?
Brazil,
Are you Jasmine's husband?
I am,
Okay, I see her on Facebook all the time. Oh, okay, so,
like on the Fall Creek thing.
yeah, she's an active poster.
Yeah.
I
More so, yeah, I don't know if I've ever posted on it.
think she's posted about you a few times.
Oh, they,
I won't tell you when she's.
oh, yeah, it's not good. It's probably all deserved though.
She's an engaged, positive community member as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
So, I've never read a poster of her that was like, you know, it seems like, you know, try to be informational, try to be helpful, try to be involved, you know, for what social media should be for. So, unlike George. That guy.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Terrible.
So I'll make some copies of the ones here's, I do think, like I said, I think right off the bat, we need to look at, you know, less than 3 feet for the.
Yeah, well,
posts.
things that we think will fit in there. Yeah.
But I do think the stage we can go a little bit bigger. with.
Yeah.
I think it can handle the weight of, not weight in terms of literally weight, but the weight of a larger decoration. I think we've got
Not
too small
looking out
stuff
of
on there
proportion.
on
that's
balance.
really what we said.
We want to balance it. We
Yeah.
want to, you know, the post get appropriate size lights, the stage gets appropriate size stuff. I think the White Bridge, the train, the, stage, the, gazebos, the, light posts and possibly the power poles are what we're looking at basically as options to hang stuff on to support stuff. There's power at the train.
Yeah.
I think there's some of these are lit and some of them aren't. I personally think that as much of them as we can get lit, the better.
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't have to be that way. So, obviously, some of these I will not be able to make copies. I mean, there's a lot of pages here. I'll try to make
Well,
copies. of those.
use your best judgment,
Yeah.
Tim, for now.
I don't have that.
You don't,
I don't have that.
and yet you've got all these degrees.
See, I've got like this cowboy boot with the sucker and the thing, and people are like, what are you doing? dude?" You know? I get stuff that, and the kids would be like, dude, are you like 1960s or what? Because I remember in like Springfield and downtown Eugene from my childhood, you know, so, we want to hand something up that looks modern and but yet appropriate. There's nothing wrong with nostalgia, but, try to get a balance, you know? Like this one here is like a Christmas bell with the old pencil stuff. Probably not that, you know, so we got a lot, they have an incredible amount of options. These are like, you know, $22.50. That lights to me are cheaper than these decorations. The more we can utilize lights,
Oh, yeah.
the better. So I really appreciate you guys listening. What do you guys think about, so we are here tonight. I would like to at least have a number so John gets it. Do you guys feel that dividing line of 500 or 1,000 for the baskets is appropriate?
I think if you had to buy plans, I think it had up, I'd say 1,000.
I'm fine with going 9 to 1. I think that's cool. And I don't think John will have a problem with that. I think he'll feel like there's a budget enough to work with that. I'm gonna say that, if John's spearheading that effort, I'm gonna leave it to John, maybe, and I'll talk to John about it, to talk to the school. Because I do think they would offer us cost savings, and that overwintering stuff would be a good idea if we could pull it off, if we could perennials or annuals, have them involved in the process. I think that would be good. So, but
Well, I think the school could do it.
if we got 8, if we had 8 if we got 8 posts and we end up with 16
Yeah.
baskets or 8 baskets, that's not a gigantic
No,
amount.
it's not
of things.
really.
They're not doing a lot in the winter time. They
No.
do a little, but not a lot.
You know, we've ponied up a lot of money for the school, I think, they like this.
I would love to hold that over their head and say it like that, but I don't think that's diplomatic, George. I feel if they don't know what they owe us, then that's a tough place to be. Johnny's a good guy, you know. His kids walk through that park every day, going to lunch. If anything, the children in the community use that park on a 60-40 ratio over adults, so.
Well, they've been pretty cooperative over the years. but-
Yeah,
I feel we have a good relationship between the city and the school, I really do.
oh, yeah.
So I'll make copies, leave them with Jeremy, we'll meet on July 3rd. And, with the eye on location and sizes and, power locations throughout the park. And then maybe we can sit down that day.
Of
and
course, the
narrow
thing
down a little
is,
more.
with what we're saying, we probably have it in pretty good shape for power sources.
I think so too.
Because each pole has got a power.
And these
Yeah.
LEDs are low.
They don't do
amperage
anything.
draw. You know, you're talking probably half an amp
Yeah.
per decoration.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not a lot of draw.
I mean, we saw that, last time we did the bridge because it was all LED.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any problem with
Big change.
blowing or anything, right?
Yeah, if we were trying to pull this off the gold incandescent style,
Oh,
it
yeah,
would be much
you
more
know.
out.
You know, it's not an issue really.
And also, it's not an issue for the city to pay the power bill either. It's not like it's gonna be a crazy power bill.
No.
So, what do you think, Jeremy?
I think that sounds like a sound plan. Walk through, see what would look good where.
Do you think we're gonna have any problems if we can't get, no matter what, we're gonna need to have help from the city staff to do the ladder work, like I said earlier? Is that gonna be an issue in terms of budgeting time for the city staff? I would assume that the winter time is more of a, maybe not as busy time. I mean, my crew, I know that when I do maintenance, that's what I do. You know, winter time is generally less of it. We have a little bit more available, you know, flexibility on our schedule.
There's so much going on in the summertime that I think the late fall timeframe would be, it would mesh with the workload.
Great.
Well, I appreciate your guys' consideration. We had to figure out who to pass the buck to, and you guys were it.
That's right.
So on the same note, Jeremy, didn't we also talk about passing the buck for some of this stuff on the trees? And the decisions for fire resiliency on the back road? I think we discussed that. I'm gonna go real brief on that if that's what we're talking about. So that's eventually gonna be part of the park system, is our intent, is heading out the back road towards Lookout Point.
Oh, now what?
Exactly. Exactly, railroad park. So, we've been getting a lot of concern, and I'm sure you guys have heard about it, about fire resiliency in our surrounding communities, the big wildfires that happened last year. So, I'm trying to figure out, and Jeremy is as well, and Juan is as well, what we can do in the city to address concerns with budgetary constraints that we have. I mean, to tackle all the, you know, fire resiliency in our community would take $10, $20 million. There's no way we could pull it off. I mean, we live in the country and we're.
This is the way it is.
So, but what can we do to help them out? I mean, can we look about some grants for that specific area right now to at least get a start, get a strip down where we're gonna be looking at? So we, Lon had a workshop the other day about what people. can
Yeah, I
do.
forgot all about it. I
There's
missed it.
money,
I wanted
there's
to
money
go.
there. There's money to be had that
For that,
people don't
yeah.
know about. I found out yesterday that the county has a thing, if you wanna put a different kind of siding on your house, they'll pay 80% of $4,000
You're kidding.
to side your house. They'll pay 80% of like $4,000 for a roofing change. That's not gonna cover a roof.
Geared towards fire resistance.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Really?
There's an organization, Firewise, that's separate, that's the county that I'm talking about. So there's lots of different organizations that offer money. I would like to see if we can figure out how to get some grants or something to do as much as we can and start, and I've asked Jeremy, what we've looked at is once again approaching the city attorney and our insurance. What can we engage people in doing? And we don't want people out there with chainsaws on city time. If something happens, we're going to get sued. But can we have them out there with rakes and hoes and shovels and, you know, hand pole saws to trim trees up and start working on this? You know, if you start somewhere, once again, back to that virus thing, if you start somewhere, which may be that, you know, to me, there's a problem all the way from West Boundary Road all the way up to the edge of Wetlow and First. You know, all those houses have that border, and it's real extreme over there. you have upwinds in the morning and downwinds. And, you know, we have it in other parts. I specifically, people up there were making a lot of, noise about this. But I specifically said, well, we can't just focus on those people. The people on Marina Vista have just as much concern on the perimeter of their things. But we need to, let's see if we can do as much as we can. So, I think Jeremy had said maybe we start with that on that over there.
Well, that is the biggest hazard in town. really
I would
think it
say above the, because of the density of houses, I would say yes, I would say you're
is.
correct.
And of course, it's like this, you
But
know.
Marina Vista bordering on, what is that,
Yes, I mean, yeah, right, you're right.
can't remember what lumber.
I can
company
see it,
owns
I
out
can
there.
see it right
Starts
now.
with an S.
Yeah,
It's an S. What?
Seneca,
Seneca.
Seneca, right.
Seneca
yeah,
owns a lot of that up there.
Yeah,
You know, but just a seed in this as well, that what can we do to address their concerns and to make our community safer? None of us want to end up like Blue River or Gates up in the North Sandy.
The biggest takeaway from that is the biggest, one of the biggest impacts that we can have is if homeowners take steps to protect their property in certain ways, to make it less likely to catch on fire if something were to happen. And whenever you have a group of people, group of homeowners who take that project on, it makes that area a whole lot more safe. Just doing some simple things like under your deck, there's some mesh that you can put under there so that embers don't get up under it and it blows up. Other thing, the fire chief is going to connect me with some Department of Forestry people who can come out there and do an analysis of what we need, tree thinning, all that good stuff, how much it's gonna cost. We can take that information and possibly get some FEMA grants to pay for it.
We might even be looking like some controlled burns, it would be functional, it would be optional. If we get back into the wet season, they can actually do controlled burns with equipment there, with
Yeah.
the rigs there.
Exactly.
And that's actually a much faster and more effective way of remediating some of the undergrowth and the ladder tools that can be in there. So just giving that to you guys, that I think some of the idea was with Jeremy saying that to bring it to you guys was, we do have that as a park, and that could be a beginning point to grow out from down towards West Boundary and up towards the houses that are up there. Let them come this way, we go that way a little bit, maybe someday we can make it very park-like over there, and I think that'd be a win for everybody as well.
Yeah, because we did do a lot of clearing when that park came into our possession.
Yeah.
Which you really shouldn't have done, but.
I don't want to head too far down this rabbit hole
Yeah.
tonight, I
Yeah,
think that I just wanted to broach that subject.
And we did something and trees were marked to be taken down.
Yeah.
And then it kind of fell away somewhere along the line.
Once again, if we can engage with a logging company or with the Department of Forestry or somebody that would come in and do some of the work that, you know, maybe Max and his crew aren't comfortable with doing or certified to do or qualified to do. You know, I have a lot of tree fallers on my crew work, but, not everybody on my crew is a tree faller, you know, so, and I doubt that, you know, you should just hand out, it's not a task you can just hand off to anybody to take down a 3-foot bird. You know, you need to be very, it's a dangerous, you know, game, so.
I think the Forestry Service has a work summer program, clearing trails and all that, you know. I'm assuming what we're talking about in the city limits,
Yes,
so I don't know if we would qualify for the work.
yeah, I actually did that when I was in high school. Yeah, they clean all the,
How far up there is the city limit though?
I don't know all those
See, that's,
details. Yeah.
I'm wondering, it's kind of a strange.
We need, that's
Deal.
part of the thing is you need to figure
Yeah.
out who owns what and
Yeah.
then engage those people. So like Seneca. So we engage Seneca and say, hey, we don't want what happened up in Mackenzie happening here. Talk to the Seneca folks and say, can you guys for, you know, 60 feet back from the edge of the private owners up on Marina Vista and heading down, North Shore heading to town, can you guys clear? So we've got a definitive fire line so that, you know, it'd be a win for them too. You know,
Oh, yeah.
they'd be preserving their trees. So it's not like it'd be a total waste of investment for them. But the more education we can get, once again, just like the lights, this is something that I'm just trying to get started and hopefully we can get better on. It's one of those things that is even more than lights. If you drop this for 10 years, you're right back to where you started. This stuff grows.
So that's what
You
happened.
know, yeah. definitely requires regular maintenance and upkeep, but, taking large trees out is a big chunk that won't return real quick. Doing underbrush cutting, that's stuff that can grow back on a pretty fast basis, but if we can identify and take out, 30% of the trees that aren't good anyway, I mean, it just not allowing the other trees to be healthy, no park is like, that's a forest, not a park. If we're looking for a park, we need some space and room between them and stuff like that, so. Anyway, I thought I'd bring that up, thank you, while we're all here. So,
Good.
Very good.
I live down way inside the city and hardly got any trees in my house, I'm totally safe, but I get where people are coming from.
Not
So,
really. Once it starts at one end of your street.
my house used to be the border of the city. Behind my house, there was no
You know,
Carroll Street, there was no Highland, my house
It
was
just
the
goes
last
like
house.
that.
Big giant motorcycle riding field when I grew up, and now it's not
It's,
that.
it's scary,
Yeah,
It really is.
I don't know, my insurance is probably worth more than my house is, so I'm okay. Might be not a bad thing with my house, so.
All right, well, thanks for your input.
I just handed something off to you guys, I don't know, I appreciate you guys listening and taking the time to maybe help me out with this.
Yeah.
I think, this is one of those things that's a winner for us in terms of, a lot of times, community members, Parks and Rec is probably not one of people like, get up in arms about too much, you guys are probably going to proceed in a pretty positive manner, but I think this is a win, I think people will be very happy with it. Even people that aren't even aware or making the statement or wanting to be involved last year, they'd be like, wow, this is awesome if we can pull something off, it's gonna be noticed. So, good PR.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it might add fuel to the
Fire.
volunteerism end of things.
I hope so,
Yeah,
I hope so.
take a little pride in the community and that sort of stuff.
We can't have enough of that.
I went to Prescott, Arizona years ago during the Christmas season, and they had a lighting ceremony on one of those huge trees in the Center City Park area. And it was really nice, and it was very hallmarkish.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Almost moved them.
I'm glad you didn't.
Well, over there, okay, I'll stay to task. We are recording. Okay, well, all kinds of things to think about, and then I guess we'll meet Saturday at 9 a.m. on the 3rd of July at the stage area. Yeah, sounds great.
With coffee in hand.
Yes.
Maybe at both ends.
Good idea.
Yeah, for me, it'll
Then
be
you balance.
Do you need somebody to knock you up?
Yeah, why don't you come by and do that? You're all right. 7:30.
Have fun with that.
all right, guys, behave. All right. What's next on the agenda there, Jeremy?
That's it.
That's it? Oh, I have one thing to say.
I have one thing to say too.
I was reminded that we are having a movie night at Rolling Rock Park this summer. I believe three events.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
And we have dates.
You did?
We do.
Okay. Do you have that?
I don't,
Or do you want me to pull that up?
you pull it up. I don't have the dates. Nor the movie.
So we have a soon-to-be city clerk emerita
What?
who,
Say that again, please, in English.
soon-to-be city clerk emerita.
The King's English or American English? Which one you want?
Joyce has generously agreed to head this up. She has July 16th, August 13th, September 17th.
Sounds like good scheduling to avoid the rain.
She has the movies.
Okay, what's
picked
after
out.
July?
July 16th, August 13th, September 17th. Movie in the park, start at 8 o'clock. First one on July, movie called Raya and the Last Dragon. In August, it is Aladdin. and September Wonder Woman 1984.
Don't have to attend, George.
I thought we'd have a couple of James Bond or something, you know.
Wonder Woman's pretty close to James Bond.
Yeah. Come on, it's all about the family.
It's action adventure.
So is that it? Are we done?
No,
George
has
has
something. George has something.
Are we done?
Oh, I see.
Okay, George.
I know where I belong, I can see where I fit. We need to start opening the bridge again now.
I was thinking about that the other day.
Yeah, we do, now that we're all been fixed and all that stuff, and,
Are we really there yet,
yeah,
according to the state?
yeah, we are now, we're not. Sure.
Yeah, we're involved.
Yep. So, having said that, we would need to go down and scrape and execute pigeons.
Bring your BB gun.
They've had a whole year to really,
Well, yes, that's possible. We have a member that's very good at that. I think we really need to visit with that member.
We cover the, I haven't looked down there. Did we cover the displays?
Well, they get in, yeah. the
No, I
stuff-
know, I mean, I
Yeah.
was thinking, well.
Yeah.
You know,
Out to the convention.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Of course, that's like 2020 hindsight. It's like, that would have been a good idea.
Yeah, so,
That's gonna be a lot of cleanup.
that's what I mean, we need scrapers, you know,
Yeah.
and,
we need the fire department.
well, we need more than the fire department.
Yeah, I got the scraper.
Well, actually, we should have them come in first, and then we can scrape the follow. So, how do we get that going?
I'll have to look into that for you, George.
I can post it at the store, you know, looking for volunteers, go down Saturday. Well, we should have
Think of an
one,
eloquent way to state it, so you can,
we should have one go down first, they usually go and maybe this clean up.
something that sells better.
That doesn't balance too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's why we need the fire department.
the pigeon, you know, is awful.
Let me get up with my team over the next 1 to 2 weeks and come up with a game plan for this.
Because it's amazing how much traffic goes through there, and it's such a historical.
Well, I know there used to be a process for this cleanup stuff with the pigeons. I just don't recall what it was. I never got involved with it.
Well,
Well, I know the fire department was involved at some point.
they were involved in cleaning the mess up.
Spraying it off the doors and all that stuff. Or the,
You know, the floor and stuff.
Yeah.
And
What you're saying is we need to start a festive midsummer or early summer pigeon roast,
that's a good idea.
squab pie, squab is pigeon.
4 and 20 blackbirds, 4 and 20 pigeons baked in a fry.
Pigeons are good,
Ooh,
they're good.
Never tried them, but I wouldn't be willing.
They are.
there's nothing to them though, it's just all,
As much as there's more there than there is for quail.
that's what I mean, it's,
They're bigger than a dove.
and they busy spitting all the pellets out.
Really, in terms of birds around here, really only, you know, waterfowl and grouse are really bigger pigeons could be, you know, especially these pigeons down here, they're healthy. The wild pigeons we see up in the woods are a little bit smaller.
What are those birds that go,
That's doves.
is that what they are? I hear them all day long.
And there's
all night
so
long.
many more doves in this valley than there ever has been.
Well, that's what I'm
before.
thinking.
It's exploded.
I mean, round our place, I'm hearing them almost 24 hours a day.
leave them alone, they're in love.
Is that what they are?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I won't bother them.
Okay, we done?
I didn't know they were doves.
All right,
can second.
I'll second the motion.
all right. then,
You guys need to, hang on, before you guys close up, you guys need to approve your agenda. You're gonna, get ready to do that at the beginning of your meeting.
oh, yeah, and somebody
And
wasn't
you
here.
didn't have a quorum, and you guys showed up, so you have a quorum now, so you could actually approve your minutes from your last meeting.
Approval of the agenda.
Oh, approve it. Oh, I don't know about that.
I'll second it. Okay, agenda approved. All right, meeting is adjourned at 8:30.
Very good.